Okay, let's unpack this. The concept of resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear that word, you might immediately think of, someone rising from a grave, that kind of thing.
Sure, that's the common picture.
But what if that's just like one layer? Today, we're diving into a perspective that sees resurrection as something far more, well, intimate, life-altering even.
Yeah, spiritual awakening, something that changes you from the inside out.
Exactly. And we're looking at the ideas of Neville Goddard.
Right, specifically from a lecture he gave back in '63, April 12th, 1963, called The Resurrection.
And we've got a transcript that's in that big PDF collection, 239 nevillegoddardbooks.pdf.
That's the one, so we can really dig into his specific take.
Yeah, so our mission here for you listening is to really unpack Goddard's idea of resurrection. It's not some, far-off religious event in his view.
No, he calls it a privileged new birth in a new creation.
Privileged new birth. And crucially, it's not presented as something you have to, earn.
No, it's a gift, pure and simple. He believed it's the destiny for every single person.
Now look, the word resurrection, it probably comes with some baggage, some fixed ideas.
Definitely.
But stick with us because this exploration, honestly, it could lead to some really surprising, maybe even mind-expanding insights. Stuff that gives you that aha moment.
So where does Goddard even start with this?
Well, he puts resurrection right at the absolute center of Christian faith.
Like foundational.
Oh.
Even if maybe Scripture doesn't spell out the how and the way we'd expect.
Right. And then he defines Christ in a really interesting way.
Yeah, not just the historical figure.
No. For him, it's the power and the wisdom of God. And he says this is inside every single one of us. From birth.
Wow. So it's inherent.
Exactly. And building on that, he explains resurrection as, well, it's not something we do. It's God's act. God awakens us when we fully absorb that Christ consciousness, when we become one with that power and wisdom inside.
He's super clear on that, isn't he? Like, you can't resurrect yourself.
No way. He says it's solely an act of God, period.
Okay, so if it's an act of God, what about the body, the resurrection body?
Good question. He points to Paul, 1 Corinthians, what you sow, unless it dies, it is not alive.
God gives it a body as he has chosen. That part.
That's the one. So Goddard stresses that this resurrected body, it's completely up to God.
We don't get a say, we don't design it.
Nope. He calls it an immortal body, an eternal body, and he actually says don't even try to visualize it.
Really? Why not?
Seems like he felt it's just beyond our current ability to grasp or imagine. Don't speculate.
Okay, interesting. It's a complete surrender to God's design then.
Pretty much. Now here's where it gets, for me anyway, really fascinating. Goddard claims he had a true experience of this.
His own resurrection.
That's what he says. And he claims it's an experience everyone eventually will have.
Okay. And how does he describe his experience?
He calls it that privileged new birth in a new creation. He compares it to physical birth. It happens to you.
Ah, so it's not something you initiate, it's received. Grace.
Exactly, a gift of grace. And here's a really crucial point he makes. You awaken in the body, not from it.
In the body. What do you make of that? Why emphasize it?
Well, it suggests our current form, or at least our consciousness within it, isn't just discarded. It's like the transformation happens right here.
A transformation from within rather than leaving something behind entirely. That's different.
It is. And then he kind of contrasts this with the traditional Easter story, the women finding the empty tomb.
Right. Mark, Matthew, John, Luke. They all tell it.
But Goddard argues, look, these accounts do not describe the event itself, the actual resurrection.
What does he mean?
He points out that nobody saw the resurrected Christ put in the tomb or physically climb out.
Huh. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
We see the aftermath, the empty tomb, the appearances, but not the moment itself.
Exactly. And he highlights how people reacted when they first heard the news.
Yeah, these words seemed to them an idle tale, and they did not believe it. Luke's gospel, right?
Spot on. It just shows how incredible, maybe unbelievable the whole idea was, even then.
So if it's not about leaving a tomb, what is it for Goddard?
He calls it a new birth into an entirely different world.
A different world, like physically different.
Governed by different principles. Specifically, he says, the power of imagination.
Okay, wow. Imagination as the governing principle.
Yeah. And in this world, forget earthly structures, no hierarchies, no governments as we know them.
So what then?
He says it very plainly, everyone will be God.
Whoa, okay. That's a big statement. Everyone will be God. What does that even look like?
Hard to picture, right? He says individuals enter this new reality as God takes them one by one.
One by one, not all at once.
Seems so. And he circles back again, this new birth. It has nothing to do with our physical body as we understand it now.
Back to 1 Corinthians, God gives the body he chooses.
Exactly. It's a different kind of existence altogether.
So how did he experience this awakening? He gets personal about it, right?
Very. He describes it happening inside his physical body. He felt his skull was like the tomb.
The skull is a tomb, okay.
And then this sudden jolt, this realization that he'd been, in his words, sound asleep through his whole life, all his experiences.
Asleep during life. That's a powerful metaphor. Like we're dreaming this reality.
Kind of feels like that's what he's implying. He uses this image of being entombed in his skull.
Trapped inside.
Yeah. And then, seemingly without outside help, he pulls himself out. He calls it self-begotten, but born from above.
From the divine power within, Christ within.
Right. He connects it to absorbing that Christ power while asleep, but then in the dream of life, often using that power unwisely.
Unwisely. What do you think he means by that? Focusing on fear, lack.
That seems likely, yeah. Using our imagination or creative power to build things we don't actually want based on fear or limitation instead of, well, love or our true potential.
Okay, that makes sense. So he awakens. Then what?
He describes encountering people, but they can't see him.
Why not?
Because they're basically in a different reality, a different state of consciousness. He's shifted, they haven't yet.
And did he see his own glorified body immediately?
No, he says he didn't. Not right away. And guess what theme comes back?
Let me guess. Disbelief.
You got it! He quotes it again. And the words they heard seemed to them like an idle tale, and they did not believe them.
It really hammers home how radical this experience is supposed to be, outside the norm.
Totally. He talks about the fantastic, incredulous announcement of this impossible birth. People asking, how? How can this be?
Understandable reaction.
And he explains that symbol, the babe, wrapped in swaddling clothes.
Yeah. What's his take on that?
He says it's just that, a symbol, a sign of the birth, not the birth itself.
An indicator.
Right. And even for those who find the sign, he suggests, they still struggle to really get what it means.
It's profound, beyond just the surface image.
He connects this to scripture, too, Luke's gospel again, where it talks about this age, marriage, death.
Compared to that age.
Exactly, where there's neither marriage nor death, and people are sons of God and sons of the resurrection.
A completely different order of being.
Yeah. And he stresses, you really can't comprehend this with our current mortal minds, not until it happens to you.
It's experiential knowledge.
He seems utterly convinced, though, based on his own experience. He calls it the mystery of the resurrection.
And the body that comes with it.
He describes it as immortal, something you can't see with human eyes, and fantastic beyond the wildest dream.
Wow. Okay, so the awakening happens.
Yeah.
Does the experience end there?
Apparently not. He says there's more. The risen Christ is given the divine name Adonai.
Adonai.
Which he interprets as meaning, my Lord, my Father.
So a new relationship with the divine source is established.
Father.
Yes. And experiencing someone call the resurrected one, my Father, my Lord, that relationship is highlighted. Then there's the ascension.
Okay, like floating up into the sky.
No, not literally. That's what's interesting. He describes it as an inner transformation.
How so?
Becoming like a golden liquid being within the holy city.
Which he says is the skull. Zion. Right. Inside the skull. And he mentions this intense feeling of wanting to get out, but somehow remaining around the throne of God.
Wanting to get out, but staying present, like a transition state. Shedding the old, but still connected.
That's kind of how it sounds, like moving into a new state, but still grounded in that divine center.
Okay, now, he makes a distinction, doesn't he, between this resurrection and just surviving death.
Oh, absolutely crucial distinction. He says, yeah, everyone survives physical death. That's a given for him.
What?
But they just remain on what he calls the wheel of recurrence, cycles of experience, repeating patterns.
Like reincarnation, maybe? Or just continuing similar life patterns?
Could be interpreted that way, but resurrection, for Goddard, is different. It's God actively redeeming individuals from that cycle.
Taking them off the wheel.
Exactly. He emphasizes how unique and irreplaceable each person is in God's plan. So resurrection isn't just continuing on, it's a fundamental upgrade, a shift in being initiated by God.
That really changes the stakes. It's not just survival, it's redemption.
Totally. And he shares another really personal story to back this up. from 1946.
1946. What happened then?
He says he heard a heavenly chorus literally calling his name, Neville is risen.
Wow. Neville is risen.
Yeah.
So his own resurrection experience way before the Easter timeline we usually think of.
Seems so. And then he had this vision.
What did he see?
A huge sea of human imperfection, people who were blind, lame, suffering.
Oh, I.
And in the vision, he was this luminous being, and he could just effortlessly restore them. Perfect sight, perfect limbs, just like that.
Effortlessly.
Yeah. And after he did this, the chorus proclaimed, "It is finished."
And it is finished, like the words on the cross.
Exactly. And then, boom, he crystallizes back into his physical body.
Whoa. That's intense. Did he connect that vision to anything specific?
Yes, to the 9th chapter of John, where Jesus heals the blind man and the disciples ask who sinned.
And Jesus says, neither him nor his parents, but that the works of God be made manifest in him.
That's the one. Goddard said he realized he had been dreaming and playing all those parts, all those imperfections he saw in the vision.
So, the challenges we face, the limitations, they're part of the dream, necessary for God's work to be revealed.
That seems to be the implication, that these aren't the ultimate reality, but maybe setups for divine intervention or awakening.
That's a radical way to view suffering and limitation.
It really is. And then he looks forward, talks about a future new world.
The one where everyone is God.
Yeah, where everyone have complete mastery over immense creative power, but they're acting together in concert.
Harmony. No one greater than another.
Exactly. Shared divine power used wisely together.
Does he connect this back to older prophecies?
Briefly, yeah. He mentions Hosea 6.2, on the third day he raises us up.
As an Old Testament hint of this New Testament reality?
Seems so. And then he really doubles down on the location of the resurrection.
Not the garden tomb.
Definitely not. He
Yeah.
insists again, it's an awakening in the body. The skull is the true tomb. Golgotha. Calvary.
Right there inside us.
And he emphasizes again that when it happens, you don't initially realize you were even asleep. It's a shock.
Like waking suddenly from a deep dream you didn't know you were in.
Exactly. He describes the sensation at the moment of awakening as feeling like death. Intense.
But it leads to awareness?
Sudden awareness right there inside the skull. He talks about feeling sealed in, a moment of panic.
Claustrophobic almost.
Yeah. And then emerging from the base of the skull. That's the birth from above.
Okay, birth from above, John 3.3. You must be born again or born from above.
Right. And he connects that awakening, that emergence, to Moses lifting up the serpent in the wilderness. John 3.14.
An analogy for the Son of Man being lifted up.
Precisely. And he points out that Greek word, anothen.
Anothen, meaning again or from above.
Yeah. He argues it really means from above in this context, but translators, maybe because they couldn't believe the concept, rendered it as again, implying reincarnation.
Interesting linguistic point with theological implications.
Definitely. And he clarifies something about that symbol again, the babe in swaddling clothes.
A sign of the birth.
He says it's found for the awakened person by others, like the angels telling the shepherds where to find the baby Jesus.
So you don't find the sign yourself. Others witness it, in a way.
That's how it sounds. And he reminds us, Jesus means Savior. He is Christ the Lord, and the core truth is Christ in you, the hope of glory.
Colossians 1.27. It all comes back to that indwelling presence.
It seems to. Now, Goddard was realistic. He knew this stuff sounds out there.
He expected disbelief.
Totally, just like the reactions in the Bible stories. And he's refreshingly honest about himself, too.
How so?
He admits his own ongoing human weaknesses even after this experience. He mentions struggles with, like, overeating, overdrinking.
How do I make? He admits that.
Yeah. He makes the point that resurrection doesn't suddenly make you outwardly perfect in this human frame.
That's actually quite relatable. It's not about instant sainthood in behavior.
Right. He even compares the potential criticism of him to the accusations against Jesus, being called a glutton, a winebibber, a friend of sinners.
Drawing a parallel. If they criticize the master.
Who criticize the messenger. He saw his experience, though, as significant not just for him. He believed it marked the opening of the door to the New Age, that individuals are now being called out of this sleep state one by one.
So his awakening wasn't just personal, it was, like, inaugural.
That's the sense you get. But he reiterates, when we return, when we fully enter that New Age, it won't be in this current physical body.
Right, it'll be in that immortal body, glorified beyond the wildest dream.
Exactly. Which brings us to, okay, what about now, for us listening?
Practical takeaway here.
Yeah. While we're waiting for this this huge act of redemption, this awakening. What do we do?
What does Goddard suggest?
He says, learn to dream wisely. Right here, right now in this world, the world of Caesar, he calls it.
Dream wisely. Use our imagination constructively.
That's the idea. He hints it's a bigger topic, maybe for another time.
Overlapping. Something we could dive into later.
Definitely. But the core idea now is practice constructive, loving dreaming. Use that inner power consciously and for good in our current lives.
That feels like something tangible we can work with.
It does. Now, in the lecture, there was a Q&A bit, too. Someone asked him, will we remember our loved ones?
That's a common question, isn't it? What did he say?
He said, absolutely, yes. The resurrected person isn't cut off from the world. They're aware, and they're eagerly waiting for others to awaken, too.
So the love, the connections, they remain. You don't forget.
He emphasized it's impossible to forget those you loved so deeply.
That's reassuring. Any other interesting questions?
Yeah, someone asked about giving others freedom in their dream, like, should we try and force people to wake up?
And his answer?
Basically, no. Trust God's timing and mercy for their redemption. Everyone has their own journey, their own garment waiting for them, essentially. Don't interfere, just trust the process.
Let them have their experience. Okay.
And one more. That phrase, touch me not, for I have not yet ascended.
John 20.1 scene. Mary Magdalene and Jesus. What's his take?
He references an interpretation by someone named Wilberforce. The idea isn't a physical don't touch.
No. What then?
It's more like a plea, don't hold me back with your sorrow. Let the departed go. Let them ascend fully.
Why? What's the effect of holding on?
According to this view, allowing them to ascend is what enables the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, to come. Clinging through grief actually binds them, holds them back.
Wow. Let go so they can ascend, and so that comfort can come. That's a different spin.
It is. And Goddard, he felt this real obligation to share all this.
Even though it sounds incredible.
Yeah, even though he knew it wasn't fully realized or visible in his ordinary physical life. He mentioned trying to reach millions, radio, TV.
He really wanted to get the message out.
He did. He even told a story about a listener quoting Mark 13 at him. If anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or look, there he is, do not believe it.
Ooh, challenging him directly. How did he respond?
Really insightfully, I thought. He basically turned it back, saying the point is to find Christ within yourself.
Not looking externally.
Exactly. He quoted 1 John. It does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he appears, we shall be like him.
We shall be like him.
Right. So Goddard's point was, you haven't truly found Christ until you start to look like him, until you embody those Christ-like qualities yourself, until you realize Christ in you, the hope of glory.
It always comes back to the inner reality, the inner transformation.
Seems to be the absolute core of it for him.
So, wrapping this all up, what's the main takeaway from this deep dive into Goddard's resurrection?
I think it's really shifting the focus. Resurrection isn't just about, surviving death. It's this deeply personal, transformative awakening within us.
A new birth, as he called it.
Yeah.
Into a totally different reality governed by imagination. Unimaginable potential.
Yeah. And it's so crucial to remember his emphasis. It's a gift.
Not earned. Not achieved through effort. An act of God's grace.
And he believed it's destined for every single person, eventually.
Which is a pretty hopeful message, ultimately.
It is. So maybe here's a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over.
Go on.
Just consider this possibility. What if you are, right now, kind of unaware of your true divine nature? What if you are, in Goddard's terms, sort of asleep? What might it actually mean for you, personally, to awaken to that power, that wisdom Goddard says is already inside you?
That's definitely something to sit with. A provocative thought indeed.
So we encourage you, reflect on his words, maybe even check out some of his other lectures or books if this sparked something.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this exploration. We hope unpacking Neville Goddard's view on resurrection gave you some interesting new perspectives.
Yeah, thanks for diving deep with us. And definitely keep an ear out.
Oh.
We'll absolutely be exploring more of Neville Goddard's ideas in the future, especially that whole concept of dreaming wisely.
Looking forward to that one.
Me too. Until our next deep dive together, thanks for exploring the depths with us.